Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're Performance Agile. I'm Eric.
And I'm Vince.
And today's topic of conversation, why do corporations go agile?
Before I start any kind of a training event or a workshop, I always like to start off with a quote. Today we're going to start off with a quote from Albert Einstein. He's a pretty smart guy. Right? So he's quoted as saying, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking that we used when we created them. I mean, you take a moment and think about that. How relevant is that to what we do, when we take an agile perspective from an agile mindset and we approach everything that we do. So with relevancy in mind, why do companies make the decision to transform their current business model to something more agile?
Well, that's right. You're talking relevancy. You take an example, Blockbuster and Netflix. How many Blockbusters are there? One in Alaska. Well, that's because Blockbuster, they didn't adapt to the change in the market, the new entrant, the new threat, the superior service, if you will. Netflix, with their DVD home delivery, they said, hey, listen, you don't even have to go to the store anymore to get your content. We'll mail it to you. And then they iterated over time, and now Netflix is what it is today. It's the online streaming giant where everyone's trying to catch up to them and take a piece of their pie. So we would need Netflix to stay relevant and adapt to the change in the market to stay the superior product, or we won't see them around much sooner. But yeah, staying relevant, having the ability to adapt, you can't do that whenever you're entrenched in legacy. Right. You have to stay current with the change of pace, the change of technology, the way technology evolves over time.
Right. Well, look at social media, right? I mean, that's a great example of how many new products keep coming out, and the ones that are out there, they have to keep up with all of that change, the new technologies, the new approaches, and they are at risk that if they don't respond to the new companies and the new offerings in that market space, they're going to die.
That's
right. Look at MySpace. My goodness, for those of you that are old enough that are watching this that even know what MySpace is, that was really like the beginning of social media, really. And where is it today? Facebook came along, great technologies, was very adaptive, was always evolving, and just buried MySpace.
It's unfortunate too. MySpace was a great platform.
Well, it was very popular at one time. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it did not stay relevant. It didn't adapt to the new entrants to the market. It stayed stagnant, didn't update any of its features, didn't update its UI, didn't upgrade the user experience at all. And it kind of just fell by the wayside.
Right. So, there's a lot of roots in Agile, that go back, to the 40s with Lean and Kaizen and Six Sigma and all of those
Toyota model.
Right, Kanban. But really, I think Agile, even though the Agile Manifesto came out in 2001, you can go back to the 80s. When web capabilities were really just exploding, really becoming known to many people, like there wasn't a PC in every house, back in the 80s, like, we have today.
Right.
So web capabilities were just starting to really grow and become popular, and e-commerce was, took advantage of web capabilities.
Right.
So I'm sure if you haven't heard of it, but, the .com, decade, or the era of .com.
The boom. The .com boom.
Yeah. It was all about trying to one up and beat your competitors, into the web market with something that, a customer could use. Primitive compared to today's web capabilities, but still, I mean, they were always trying to be reactive and adaptive, and responsive to the changing marketplace. So, you had to change the way that you approached how you thought about your business, and how the ability to empower your employees to be that responsive and to provide those ideas, and just, companies were growing and booming like crazy.
Well, and it's also this, you're kind of taking the approach of a customer focused
Absolutely,
when you're building products. You're going out and you're touching base with the customer and you're saying, well, what do you want this to do? How can keep your loyalty? How can we keep your service?
Mm.
Where we're not taking the field of dreams approach and saying, if you build it, they will come. It's, what do we need to build for you to come? It's an entirely different mindset. It's a fundamental shift in how you build and disseminate products.
Right. There's also an approach when, we talk about MVPs, and we'll talk about MVPs in another video, but you can prototype, work that you believe that, your customer base is communicating to you, and you can get, that in front of users before you actually invest completely in putting it into production. So we have a lot to talk about as to why companies do make the decision to transition to Agile. But we just wanted to cover, kind of wet your palate and let you know that, these are some of the main reasons why. Once the decision is made to go to Agile, there's a lot that's involved, and it's not easy. It's not simple. We don't want to kid you. It all sounds great, right? And I think a lot of companies do, when they make the decision to go to Agile, they think that it's going to be easy and it's going to be fast and we're going to get stuff out there. But let's be certain that is not necessarily true. There's a lot of work and a lot of planning and decisions that go into transitioning to Agile. And yes, we are definitely going to cover all of them.
That's right.
So for now, I think, we've pretty much, covered the highlights of why a company would make that decision. What do you think?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch our videos. Please leave us a comment down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video.